Good evening. It is the 11th of April 2014, and this is Boots on the Ground. I am your host, Gimbleby, and joining me tonight is Jenza
Hello.
and Delta Iden.
Hello.
So, 1.8 dropped, and there's a lot to talk about. So the way I'm going to do it this week and next week is I'm just going to ask people what they've been playing and what have they been thinking about it. So yeah, I guess I'll start off with Jenza. How have you been finding 1.8 and what have you been playing?
I've been really enjoying it because when I on the run up to 1.8 hitting, I honestly could not decide if I wanted to play the Galente heavy or some kind of scout, so I could be a cloaky person. So I put a forum post basically linking to a survey to let the people decide what I was going to play as. And the play base decided that I was going to play as a Caldari Scout. And honestly, it's just so much fun. I put a few levels into Galente Heavy as well, but only like advanced level. But even that, I just absolutely love the Scout. It's just so much fun running around cloaked, shooting people in the back. It's just brilliant fun. It really is.
Yeah, I have to admit I have fallen victim to you using a shotgun at some point.
Oh, really? Have I? I get so many I lose count. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I got over it after a couple of days.
But yeah, it's just been really fun because when obviously we saw all the in-game assets of the CBM a few days before, and I became obsessed with the look of the Galente Heavy because in the images that we saw was obviously the high version rendering, and it was just so cool. I just absolutely love the look of it. Even now, I still love the look of it. But on the other hand, I wanted to try and be a scouty cloak because one of my general rules that every single time that there is a respec, I always dramatically change my playstyle. And I haven't been a scout since I think it was just after the E3 build, whereas I've been a heavy just under a year ago. So I wanted to. I just didn't really know what to go for. So I let the community decide, and they decided I'd be a Caldari Scout, and really sort of seeing everyone pop up because the scan precision is amazing on that thing. It's just absolutely brilliant. It really is very good.
Okay. I mean, I've been doing math and I did a blog about cloaking and so on. Have you been finding yourself, finding other scouts pretty easily? Because doing the numbers, it seems like it wouldn't be as easy as you'd think.
Well, I have a complex scan precision and scan extender mod on mine. And with that, 9 times out of 10, if I'm using my proto suit, they appear quite visibly on everywhere, even just on normal scans. It's only like the top end proto scouts I sometimes have trouble with.
Okay, because I mean, something I realized pretty quickly, and there's that bug where skills aren't applying to suits when you first spawn into them, so it's that kind of wrecks some of the numbers. But if you just put an enhanced profile damp on a Galente Scout with max skills, you can't be seen by anything.
That is the only one I actually have trouble with. Every other scout pretty much is very easy for me to see. I just scan it instantly because it's got a very very good scan precision, and it's really quite far as well. So you see pretty much almost everything on your radar instantly.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty good. So, I mean, outside of just the scout suit, how have you been finding cloaking? Have you been playing with cloaks?
Oh yes, I do like my cloak. I mean, obviously it's a bit unbalanced right now, a bit overpowered, I guess. It really pains me to say that because I'm just having so much fun with it. But yeah, what I really quite enjoy doing is getting someone to make a lot of noise. I basically scout the go invisible and just flank them entirely and just completely take them out. And usually I use simply basic basic level scouts, and that's just enough because you don't really need much with a shotgun, really. A few blasts and all but the most hardiest heavies are dead. and it's I just really enjoy it.
Any thoughts on cloaking, Eden?
It needs to be toned down a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, at the top end, like at basic level, it's not too bad because it doesn't last overly long, but it recharges quite fast. So you've got a small window of opportunity, but the
proto one is a bit overpowered.
One is you can cloak forever and it recharges extremely fast. Anyway, so that side needs to be toned down a bit.
I agree.
Other than that, it's not too bad. There's people like Gimbals, like says the all the words have gone out of my mouth now. The damping bonus from cloaking 25% scan profile reduction shouldn't be there, which I kind of agree on. Is doing too much for such a small fitting investment on the scout due to its bonuses. Although that being said, I have Scout's level 5, as does Gimbal, I assume EV Gimbler, so our fitting is a lot better than like a lot of other people's fitting, I assume.
Yeah, well, especially when you only, like I say, I only use a basic level shotgun, even on my proto level, and that's really all you need.
Yeah, there's a lot of common people doing that. Although a lot of people don't seem to understand that when they're cloaked, they're not invisible, and they just get killed, and they get really annoyed when they get killed.
Yeah, you have to be very careful on moving. You know, to move too fast. So what I do is when I get to an enemy, I slow down dramatically, especially when they turn towards me. If they turn towards me, I instantly try to stop moving before they can see and get into their field of view. And usually they'll just, once I can see that they're looking the other way, I'll start moving again. But it's a bit like a game of Grandma's Whispers almost.
Yeah, I mean, there's that great feeling though of when you're just standing perfectly still and you're surrounded by enemies and they can't do anything to you because they just don't know you're there.
It's fantastic. I love it. I do.
And I do that in a commando, so.
See, that's just scary. I'm sorry, that's just scary. It terrified. The idea of a commando just invisible honestly terrifies me.
Well, I've done it a lot, and I've noticed, like, because I've finally got a capture card working and things like that. So I've been watching a few like footage I record. I've noticed when I decloak in front of someone who's seen me anyway, who's like, "Oh, there's a cloaked scout there," and I decloak and there's a heavy, and they just like stop and be like, "What?" and they just die.
Oh god, I like I say, absolutely terrifying.
Although the fitting to get a cloak onto a commando it's hard. You can only do it on a proto realistically. I tried putting one on an advanced one earlier and I could fit a flaylock pistol as a weapon. Like not even two, just one flaylock pistol. But yeah, I mean, like I'm pretty adamant about cloaks getting at least removing the profile bonus because it just seems a bit silly from a Galente scout perspective because I can run a suit that costs under 10k ISK and I'm immune to proto scanners on Galente Logi. It doesn't seem fair. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate from Galente scouts for that.
Galente scouts have it easy. Like, so easy. Second best brick tanking scout in the game.
No, it's Dodie.
But anyway.
I'm actually trying to see if I can fit a Galente commando with a cloak and see what's going on with it. God, it just I'm putting the normal basic cloak instantly just drains more than half of PG and CPU.
Yeah, on mine because I have like almost perfect fitting skills, like even fitting optimization 4 on some of my weapons, and I need a complex CPU and power grid mod just to fit it. But that's to fit it and to fit 2 proto weapons and a complex ferroscale and a complex damage mod. So yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm trying to at the moment try to see if I can fit a proto scrambler rifle in. That's actually I find the problem with it. One of the problems of this build is that there seems to be a lot of more armor stuff Therefore, the poor old scrambler rifle seems to be a little bit lacking in some regards.
Well, I haven't been able to fit just a normal scrambler for a while, just because the assault you get like 5 extra power grid.
Yeah,
it's just
true.
so much more useful, and it still like completely wrecks.
I've been hearing things that the breach assault rifle is supposed to be quite good now.
It hasn't. I don't think it's changed as much as like the other ones. There are a lot of people using it.
I'm just going on what people have been saying, really.
I have noticed a lot of people using them, so I'll maybe have to look into that. Although I don't think I ever really use assault rifles.
I haven't used assault rifles in ages, but I've still got the skill, the high level skill though.
I don't have it to level 1.
The only weapon I don't have a single skill in is the combat rifle.
Wow.
Really? I was
Yeah.
expecting plasma cannon, but I guess everybody has 1 rank in plasma
I have
cannon.
one. Yeah, I have 1 level in plasma cannon. It was just to try and do a quick test, and it failed spectacularly.
Oh, I guess it was the plasma cannon, so
Yeah.
I've seen maybe one or 2 people use them well, out of like lots of people trying to use plasma cannons.
I have an ult, which is pretty much essentially just dropships. And one time I was hit by a plasma cannon. I wasn't killed, just hit, and I was just like, oh, what the hell was that? Sort of thing.
I ran a dual plasma cannon commando and got completely destroyed over and over again because it's like what you can expect. It's terrible. But there was an assault dropship. I think it was a Nyansan person, and the first shot hit his turret, which caused him to pitch down, and the second shot hit his top, and he just flipped over and just plummeted to the ground. I was like, huh, that's not going to happen again, and it hasn't.
But anyway, moving on from plasma cannons, how have you found the heavy?
I haven't played much the heavy simply because I've been having so much fun with my scout. I'm actually like I said, I'm trying to fit a cloaky commando now. It's taking some very careful thought because it's only an advanced level, of course, and it's a bit complicated. But I have I just on the hell of it, I bought a single Aurum Proto Sentinel, and I went out with a couple of friends who had prototype Reptiles, and I went pure brick tank, and I actually managed to take and not die a railgun hit to the face. That made me laugh.
That's pretty impressive, actually. Like a proper large railgun.
Yeah, an actual tank railgun to the face.
Damn. I bet that tank driver was mad.
I bet. Honestly, I was just amused by this because I knew that in theory, with the HP on it, because I think it was something. Actually, I've got it on here. Let me take a look. Yeah. So it has. Actually, no. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it has 560 shield points and then 1,300 armor.
That's pretty brick tanked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
like he's in theory, you'd be able to survive like anything really.
yeah, like I said, in theory, I knew it was possible, but honestly, I did not expect it to happen.
That's before you count resistances and stuff as well.
Yeah, fucking hell. I just didn't actually expect it to happen because the Galente heavy has resistance to railguns too. I just didn't think it would apply to large turrets as well.
That's really interesting, actually. I wonder if we're going to see more people. Oh yeah, I wonder if Galente are going to be good forge gunners because they can take tank shots and survive.
I don't know. I just started bursting out laughing. I really would, but because obviously the second shot killed me, but the first shot was like, oh wow, I'm alive.
Okay, so not that much playing with the Galente Heavy though, just the
No,
railgun.
just a little
moment.
difference. Well, I've played like I said some commando. I put 3 levels in Sentinel and 3 levels in commando. But honestly, I just haven't played that much apart from, friends with lots and lots of reptiles, and that can be quite amazing.
Cool. Any thoughts on the commando before we move to Eden?
No, like I said, I haven't really played that much of it to really comment.
Okay. Eden, what have you been playing?
So I started out. So the plan was, as soon as 1.8 hit, I was going to spec a few points out of Amar Logi, Amar Assault, and go straight for Amar Scout and Amar Commando. And I managed to max both of them with the SP I got, which is pretty good. The reason I went for Amar Scout was because everyone said, "Oh, the bonuses are terrible. It's going to be so slow. Oh, it's so bad. You're never going to kill anyone." And wrong. The Amar Scout is not a scout, if that makes any sense. Just the way the Amar are built, they have the highest armor, they have the highest stamina. They're supposed to just be kind of like bruisers. So the Amar Scout is basically the true light assault of the suit. So I went like that, and I fit it not completely brick tanked, but so it's got decent sprint, it's got decent armor, it's got some regen, it's got a cloak, it's got decent weapons, it's got decent damage, and it is just ridiculous how just powerful it is. And no one really expects. They do expect the brick tank, but it's a fairly fast brick tank that just doesn't stop sprinting. So I can cloak up, I can sprint for ages, I can decloak, kill someone, and then by the time I've done that, my sprint and cloak is full, and it just goes on and on and on and on. And that's just been pretty fun, because I haven't really done a lot of scouts before, until the end of 1.7. And then, with commandos, the Amar Commando is fairly broken in the sense that its fitting allows it to do this cloak, and it's apart from the cloak, which is basic, it can fit complete proto-mobs, modules, and weapons, which is just ridiculous. And it gets a flat 10% bonus to the damage to the scramble rifle and laser rifle, which is basically 2 unstacked damage mods. Then you can put another one on top of that, just gives it a 16-17% total. And now those bonuses apply to the laser rifle beam, and the laser rifle got buffed, like completely absurdly. Like the laser rifle, after I think it was 28 shots, has the DPS of the Balax on this commando, and that's not even halfway through his clip, and that's with no recoil, 110 meter range, no spread. It's just ridiculous, and it does double damage if you fire at the head. It just shouldn't have been buffed, like anywhere near that. So that, I'm predicting that's going to be nerfed quite a lot, because you shouldn't be able to use that and be able to use it at close range and still have the same damage output.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be the longer range weapon.
Well, a lot of people scream that that it was underpowered, no one used it, blah blah. There were a fair amount of people using it, and some will agree or some won't agree with me. But the laser rifle in 1.7 was like fat shit insane at its range, but its range was so small, but its damage was so high at that range. It just destroyed anything, and people didn't really. A lot of people didn't understand why it's so bad. It's because it's just in that small band range. There's nothing better than it in the game, apart from like a forge gun, I guess. And now that range has been extended to its entire, from 0 meters to 110 meters. It just does that damage, which is just completely crazy. So now it's just basically an officer weapon at any tier level that its damage scales extremely fast and is usable at any range. It's perfectly accurate, perfectly precise. It's just ridiculous.
Damn.
Yeah, like it's pretty scary when he puts it like that. I mean, I still haven't been using the laser rifle that much, but I've been in games with him where he's using it, and it's a scary thing.
I have been at target. I have been on the receiving end of a laser rifle before, a laser thing before, and it was quite scary actually how much damage it was doing. I'm actually about to go into a game now and try and have a look at this this cloaky commando because it just terrifies me.
You'll love it.
But yeah, I mean, I think
That's
we're
right.
gonna. I feel like the laser rifle is the scrambler pistol again, in that like Aiden was the only person who was like getting.
There were a lot of people that use laser rifle in 1.7.
Yeah, but you seem to have that weird effect on weapons where they just do better.
Well, when I was, I think it was, around, actually on the E3 build, everyone dismissed the what's it called, the mass driver as a piece of shit, a broken piece of shit, because it wasn't working properly. And they were complaining that it wasn't always doing the damage. Well, what they didn't realize at the time is that the animation simply wasn't happening every now and again, but the damage still was. And it was, I owned face with it, and then they buffed this a couple of times, and I was just so happy every time.
The X05 just needs a little statue of the X05.
I have this fantastic video on my computer, which is actually technically NDA, of me using the old mass driver back then, with because they only had 4 rounds in the clip, and just killing people. And I would get so much hate mail saying I was a hacker because I was using such a shit weapon.
I've got a few hate mails using quite a lot of weapons saying, "Oh, you're hacking, and report you." Like, pistols being one of them, because pistols one-shot everything at any range in 1.7. Laser rifle, because everyone thought laser rifle was terrible. Melee, because everyone didn't realize melee was a thing. Basically, like in 1.5, 1.6, and early 1.7, Gimbal and I squadded up, and Gimbal would put a defend order on me, and then he would go AFK, and he'd have like 300 war points at the end of it because I just went around smacking people and instantly killing them.
Well, what was that with the melee damage mod?
That's with the first item, the first skill I ever maxed was hand-to-hand combat.
Okay.
And just because of the amount of extra damage it gives, so I just put 5 damage mods.
Unfortunately, though, it doesn't give anything passively anymore.
Yeah, but it gives a 50% at level 5. It gives a 50% bonus to the efficacy of the modules. So they go from 50% bonus to 75%. And those stack with each other.
Fuck.
Some stacking penalties. Well, there's just a normal stack penalty, like 80%, then 50%, then 20%.
I might give that a go, actually.
But because the addition of damage is so high, that those stacking penalties are still worth putting them on. So I just put 5 of them on a Minotaur Assault, and I had 600 melee damage with 500 stamina and 10 sprint. And it's just like, you've got no health. And if you die, fair enough. If you run headlong into a heavy and try and punch him, he'll probably kill you first. But if you flank, everything dies.
I'm going to try that with one of my scouts or something.
Scouts don't get it as much because scouts have terrible base damage.
Yeah, scouts have 80 base, and not as many high slots for it.
Okay.
Before, commandos were the best. In terms of scouts, I think I have a variant of my Amar scout that instead of 2 damage mods in its 2 high slots, it's got 2 melee damage mods, so it's got 240 melee damage, which isn't overly a lot. But if I have a scrambler rifle, charge a scrambler rifle, run up to someone, shoot them, then punch them, it's just a ridiculous extra amount of burst. And it's actually quite useful versus a lot of these shotgun scouts who don't build any tank at all. You just whack them in the face and then get 50 war points.
But yeah, outside of Scout and Commando, what have you been up to as far as suits go?
That's pretty much it. The Scouts and Commando, and the odd Sentinel.
Like I said, I still got my dropship guy, and that pretty much hasn't changed at all.
I don't have that. I tried to do some remote explosives and did some suicide LAVing, and I got so bored of it. I put a few things on the REs on the front of the LAV, and I ran into one and blew up, and I was like, oh, that was easy. And then just stopped. It just didn't interest me. It's like a cool little tactic that people use. and it's really effective, but it just bored me.
Fair enough.
But,
Genzo, how have you tried the dropship pilot since the patch?
I've got, like I said, I've got a dropship guy, so yeah, I've used it.
How are you
Like I
finding
said, it hasn't
them?
really changed at all.
I mean, there's
I
no
like, well,
damage
as
mods
per
now.
usual, dropships will always have a place in my heart because it was the first ever thing I went for when I first started playing, and like I said, I just like it. But like, it hasn't really changed anything at all, more or less, from since 1.7, really.
Well, there was the hardener nerf.
Actually, that's a good point. Actually, that's a very good point. It's possible that they have sort of been given to bit because of that. But generally, because I run 2 hardeners on my dropship, so because of my skills on that character, I can always have 1 hardener going, at least, and so I just basically keep it running. And if I have any trouble, I just get the hell out of there with my afterburner.
Okay. But have you noticed like AV being a bit stronger against you since the change, or?
I can it's very difficult for me to run dropships in skirmish, just because after a while, people get ready, and they have like all these railguns and missile tanks. Oh my god, missile tanks will one-shot even my double hardened dropship. Actually,
Really?
yes, it's very, very powerful.
Oh, I forgot to ask. Are you running armor or shield?
Armor.
Okay. Yeah, I can see missiles tearing those to pieces. But yeah, I guess I'll just move on to what I've been playing, which is pretty much Scout Commando. Surprise, surprise. I've been a Mimitar Commando. I've been doing the Swarm Launcher that you were mentioning earlier, and it's actually pretty good. Like, I'm using an advanced Swarm Launcher. I don't have any proficiency skills. Like, it's just I think I have some ammo increase skill and some reload time skill, but even then, like, I've been killing tanks. Like, if I go into a match with someone else running AV, we can kill pretty much anything that we get our sights on. So I've actually been finding AV, like, pretty fine now, especially since the tank change. The tank change was a huge deal in Ambush.
Yeah, that's true. I'm still getting. You still get people like Duna running around in double tanks.
That's true, but it used to be like 5 tanks in a dropship, and you just couldn't do anything against that.
Yeah.
But now you can actually like kill 1 tank before the other tank gets to kill you. So I don't know. It feels more manageable. It feels more balanced, and
To me, it feels like there are less noob tanks around, and they're more high level tankers.
I guess. And if there are tanks, sometimes it is the new players, and not the higher level players, I guess you could say.
I mean, honestly, with tanks, I was just with my drop. I just be using my my scouts because I run flux grenades on the grenade slot, and then I put REs on the tank, all 3 advanced REs. Throw a couple of only 1 of course if it's an armor tank, but 2 if it's a shield tank. Detonate them, and if they're not looking at you, you pretty much get them every time.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of REs with tanks, as Iden can attest to. And it's been working out pretty good. I think the cloak was a nice buff to AV that people might not have like thought of at first. I don't know, like maybe people just disregarded it. But you can really sneak up easily on tanks with a cloak now.
Yeah, you can. That's what I've been using.
And yeah.
Usually I still get my sentinel friend to make a lot of noise shooting at the tanker with his HMG, basically trying to distract him, and I just sneak around the back.
Pretty much. I mean, like, yeah, AV, like, plasma cannon needs some love, and maybe the swarms need something, like a tiny buff.
Yeah.
I don't know. They seem fine to me, although I'll probably get a lot of people yelling at me for that, but I just
I
haven't
also
had any
think
issues.
I think the assault. One idea actually I submitted to CCP was basically to remove the assault. The assault. Swarm launcher.
Swarm
Yeah, swarm
launcher?
launcher. Sorry, because it's not very good. Let's admit it. I mean,
I don't.
you have to lock on for 2 targets, which takes twice the amount of time to log. If of course you want 2 targets. And so what I was thinking instead is it's a line of sight weapon, and you simply shoot once per missile. So similarly to the large missile turret, basically you fire your entire clip, which will, because I think one swarm launcher round I think has 6 shots. So if you imagine basically shooting 6 shots, line of sight, pretty much.
Kind of like there was that build they showed off in FanFest in like 2011, I think it was, or 2012.
Yeah, the original the original swarm launchers back in very close beta, it did have dumbfire. The only problem is that the swarm launchers could affect infantry as well. So what you'd have
Way too
yeah. So what you'd have scouts jumping around with a swarm launcher, jumping up in the air and then using the swarms on the ground, and it would just kill everything around it.
Yeah, I mean, like they do that with mass drivers now. I mean, I do that with mass drivers now.
Yeah, but
it's still
imagine
pretty
fast
good.
drivers were one. It was just a one-hit shot. It would just kill everything once.
Yeah.
Any suit, any at all. That was back when Sentinels had 1,000 shield and 1,000 armor,
Pretty much.
and they still got 1 shot.
Yeah.
I just realized Sentinels are actually close to where they were back in those days.
Pretty much. And back then, I actually remember the controversy. I think no, not Hilmar. No, I think it was actually Hilmar. I can't remember now. One of the very high-level execs actually came into IRC after there was the because before basic, advanced, and prototype all had different HP levels, and when they decided to change that, everyone started getting very upset, and so I think I think it might have been Hilmar actually sort of came in and tried to explain the position.
Yeah, I remember them changing it to be so they all had the same base health. I thought it was a good idea. I don't know.
It was a lot of people back then were not happy about it though, like really unhappy. But that was partially down to that at the time, the differences in the cost and the suits were very, very high, like very, very high. The difference in cost was it wasn't seen to be worth it to run various levels of suits, considering how expensive it was back then.
Yeah.
That was the main issue.
Kind of like how tanks were really expensive. I guess vehicles in general were really expensive before they changed them.
Like 2 to 4 million for the not enforcers. What were they called? The Marauders.
Marauders, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god, the Marauders were so powerful.
Do you remember in the E3 build my
Small
tank?
missile turrets.
Do you remember my tank?
Was yours one of the small missile turrets?
No. Back then I was pretty much one of the best tankers in the game, and I think by week 2, I had 25 million skill points. And I think the best game I ever had in that tank was like 120-0.
Oh, well, I've got you beaten there, but actually that's pretty impressive for like a match that's actually like a real match and not me killing some guy over and over, but still.
No, it was an actual game. The thing is, it wasn't that fair, but because the railguns back then had a really huge range of splash, and they turned very, very quickly as well. But because how it works is that that big flat area, in I think it's Line Harvest. Basically, players would randomly spawn all over there, and what happened? I'd drop my tank on top of the garages on the end of it, and then as they spawned in, just slaughter them.
I had a similar thing with a friend from Eve, and she had a Marauder, the Kaldai Marauder, and we just had damage mods and missile launchers and large missile launchers, and the splash was so high from the missile launchers. Like the hit detection issues there were in that where you had to aim like before someone before the bullets would appear. Like that just didn't happen.
Yeah, the missiles were pretty.
You could just fire around a corner and get multiple kills. Like you could fire at a corner and hit people around the corner.
The thing is, the reason I actually used the railgun, however, is it had a lot higher, because everyone were running missile tanks, but the splash on the railgun was still pretty damn good. So, but the direct damage, of course, was a lot better. So I would just come along and wreck the tanks. In fact, any militia tank, I could one-shot. Seriously, any militia tank.
E3 build.
E3 build. But I still have lustful dreams about what's it called, Crater Lake. I still miss
Crater Lake.
I miss Crater Lake massively.
I miss Crater Lake. I remember the one where I got like the highest wall points or whatever. I got like 2 or 3 million skill points in that match was because you know the way you die and you could still fire while you were dead. Well, I had a rep tool out.
Oh god, I remember that.
But I had a rep tool out. So, but I somehow gained infinite range.
Okay.
I was repping everybody all match. I had 0 kills, 1 death, and was like the top of the
Wait, was this in? This
was before
Lion Harvest?
No, this was Crater Lake.
Sorry.
This was Crater Lake. Like, I was on the attacker side.
That must have been really, really early because I know that they removed they removed the armor repairers for quite a while because of that reason.
Yeah, that was why. It was quite hilarious because I was on the attacker side when it happened. So imagine having attackers that were invincible, just like walking towards, just like we don't care. Your bullets don't work. We don't care. It was quite amusing.
Anyway, 1.8 came out.
Did it?
Oh, yes.
Replication in E3.
Well, excuse me, we were having a very nice little session, reminiscing about times gone past. Why did you ruin this?
Oh, because I don't know. Like, I figure we might as well talk a bit more about 1.8. So,
yeah, true.
I mean, like, Galante Scout is ridiculous. Like, I just have to say that. Like, the cloak bonus is too good. Because I just don't have to, I can not put a damp on my suit and I'm still invisible to almost everything.
It's pretty crazy.
I still quite like I still very much like the Caldari because it's just a brilliant way of. The best thing about it, honestly, is point defense. But what I'd do is I'd go to the point that's closest to the enemy, and then just stay there. And because I'd be able to, 9 times out of 10, I would see them coming, and then if the other time I'd just have an RE on the point and then just blow it up whenever. It's just really quite good.
The reason I like Caldari Scouts is the fact that they are one of the only real shield tankers of 1.8 because armor tanking is just so prevalent now. And because I use scrambler rifle and laser rifle, I am pure shield, anti-shield. And because I completely destroy like most armor anyway, because of just the ridiculous damage that I'm putting out, the Caldari Scouts basically they can brick tank, but they just die in 2 shots.
Oh, actually, I do.
It's just so perfect for me.
I do remember there's one interesting thing about vehicles that some people have seen and some people haven't. If you have high armor skills, you can put a heavy armor repair on an LAV.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, that's quite.
It's very silly. It's really, really silly. I just as a test, we went into what's it called into a faction warfare match, and he had his blast tank going, and he couldn't kill me. I was sat in front of him and he couldn't kill me. I was repping too fast.
I've heard that's a problem with dropships, actually, in that some guy made a fit with an armor dropship which could have, I think it was 2 heavy reps, 2 advanced ones, and nothing could kill him. It was to the point, I think it took 3 or 4 enemy dropships to shoot him down.
I have noticed there on my dropship person, that there are some seriously fast-ripping tanks. I don't know what they're doing,
3
but
militia repair.
but it's very fast. I just can't. Even with a railgun, the small railguns, which are quite good actually by now, especially for taking out vehicles, I can't do enough damage to get through their reps on the armor tanks. I just can't do it.
The idea is because they're just so like they're more or less the same to fit compared to plates, but they don't give a reduction in speed. So versus like gang fit tanks, and you're a gang fit tank but with armor reps, is they've got a lot of health for you to chew through, but you have not a lot of health but a lot of regen. So relatively, they're doing almost no damage to you, and you are faster than them. That's basically where they came from. But they get burst down like straight away by forge guns if you have like 2 forge gunners. Bang bang, you're dead.
Yeah,
Or REs.
that's true. Or proxy mines, which hopefully I hope people are actually using now. I saw a thread on the forums that was some guy saying, why aren't people using like AV tools that aren't like swarm launchers?
I use proxy mines when I'm doing my point defense. I especially for that little one, that little enclosed one with the 2 entrances. I think it's called the scanner module. I put proxies on the entrance so that if an LAV or a tank rolls on through, it's two sets of proxies. They always blow up.
Yeah, and especially with like the proto level ones, which are kind of ridiculous because you can put 7 down.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was doing a thing with mass driver proxy mine in faction warfare, and I should do that again. I don't know why I stopped. But you can shoot them with the mass driver, and you can like make the proxy mines explode, and it just kills pretty much anything in one shot. Oh, I should do that. I don't know why. I should stop dicking around with melee builds.
Much like your faction warfare today when you shot an enemy RE, then got kicked for friendly fire.
That was not a faction warfare match. That was a regular ambush.
Oh.
I saw an enemy RE and shot it, and then killed 3 teammates.
Oh, and that lost in the match.
Well, we were already losing, but it was funny. But yeah, okay. Speaking of time to kill on vehicles, like how are you finding like damage reduction overall?
Honestly, I haven't noticed that much. Honestly,
not really feeling it at all.
No.
Now that the commandos give just flat damage bonuses to the weapons that I use, like my damage was reduced slightly on the scrambler rifle, but the laser rifle got buffed ridiculously to the point where it can do 3,000 damage per second to anything.
I just haven't even noticed it really.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying it's a lot better though. I think it's just because the weapons they're using.
Maybe.
Different combinations.
But I can't say I've noticed it that much.
I mean, I have to say, like a lot of my deaths right now are coming from shotguns from cloak scouts. So those didn't get nerfed. Well, those technically got buffed because they can get in real close without me seeing them. But rifle damage, I've noticed, has gone down quite a lot. Like if I'm fighting people with rifles, I actually have time to get into cover these days.
Pretty much, and sidearm damage. So scrambler pistols got nerfed by upwards of up to 40% of their DPS, and people are still saying they were never overpowered. And just the fact that they got nerfed by almost 50% of their damage, their DPS, because their rate of fire got changed, and they're still very usable and probably still the best of the pistols. And people still claim that they weren't overpowered in 1.7 and before. I have a hard time understanding those people.
Out of interest, how are you guys finding the new sidearms? Because there was that sidearm event recently.
I like the ion pistol. I quite like it. I haven't tried the other ones, to be honest.
I think you're the only person I've heard who's used an ion pistol.
The ion pistols, it's kind of fun to use, but it's kind of awkward if you mess up, or if you it's just kind of a mediocre pistol
I quite like it.
But the bolt pistol is just really good. It's just such an efficient weapon, really good range, and it's got a scope. It's a pistol with a scope. What more could you want, really?
I'll give it a go. I haven't actually tried it yet, but I'll definitely give it a go.
Don't use it. Just use it a few times and you get used to it because it's basically a bit different. And then the magsec, which just has basically no spread, almost.
Although the magsec's a real victim to that skill bug at the moment.
Yeah.
It took me a while to realize why I was getting kicks sometimes and not others. Was that like because of that bug? Like sometimes the gun just isn't accurate at all.
Yeah.
I have the advanced ion pistol, and I'm getting some decent kills with it, honestly.
Yeah, the iron pistol's decent. It's just I personally think it's quite an awkward pistol to use, and it doesn't really complement any other weapon at all, really.
It's useful. I find I'd say the biggest problem with it is it's got a very limited range.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem with it.
I guess I'm just trying to think what it would be good with. I
I
don't
don't
know,
really
maybe a melee suit.
I think it might be good with the laser rifle, honestly, because of course the laser rifle is a very long range weapon.
The laser rifle is an omnipotent weapon at the moment.
It
actually does.
I can't say I've used it much this build.
It literally is like I've ran the numbers on it like completely and done all this calculation like mad scientist mode, and it literally is the highest DPS weapon at any range. Like ignoring certain things like shotgun burst, forge gun burst, sniper rifles, grenades, things like that. But it's just ridiculous. Like before it's like say 10-meter range in 1.7, it did about 14% damage, and as you got further away, they went higher and higher and higher. Now at 0 meters, it's 70% damage, which goes up to 200% at its optimal for a headshot. Like, if you got a headshot at like 10-meter range, you're still doing 100% stated damage.
So imagine with the Yamar Commando,
Yeah,
it's a very interesting weapon.
Basically, what I've been using.
Oh dear, oh dear.
It's just so ridiculous. It just needs to be. Like, I normally don't scream nerf. I normally, like, if something needs to be nerfed, I'll just say, like, this needs to be nerfed and here's why, and show them. And, like, in the case of the scramble pistol, I just, like, showed, like, how ridiculous it can be. Like, upwards of 100 meters, it can headshot people 100 meters, still do really nice deep damage because of its massive headshot bonus. And now, because now the rate of fire has been reduced quite a lot, the shots don't always go where, like, just the amount of shots going down makes the damage not worth it, aiming at that range. But with the laser rifle, it just needs to be toned back a fair amount because it got a massive range buff, and also the way the beam forms, so you've got the flat listed damage every shot, and then you've got an extra sort of weapon called the beam, which starts at 0, and every time you shoot, the longer you're holding it down, every shot that increases. In 1.7, that was 0.8 increase per shot for all the tiers. Now, and then it got increased by 20% at basic, 40% at just under 40% at advanced, and almost 50% at prototype. So it just accelerates at ridiculous speeds, and now that also seems to be affected by the commando bonuses and things like that. So it just ramps up so fast. It's just really, it's a strange thing because it has no spread, but you can spray and pray.
Yeah, but I haven't actually seen many people using it, to be honest.
It's becoming slightly more common than it used to be. But I think a lot of people still seem to be in this, oh, it was terrible before, it'll be terrible after.
Well, I've been trying to use last couple of games, I've been trying to use the breach assault rifle. I can't, it's definitely interesting, but I can't really see particularly much better, really.
I wouldn't ever use it. I can't comment on that. I haven't used a assault rifle in anything for a long time.
I do remember some people do cry about. Sorry about going back into it again. The ye old breech assault rifles of old.
Creodron breech assault rifle.
Anyone who was anyone used the assault rifle.
I refused to use it.
Sorry?
I refused to use it because it made it more fun when I killed people without it. But that was ridiculous. That was in just before Chromosome, wasn't it? Or was it in Chromosome?
It was in Chromosome.
Yeah. That was crazy.
But anyway, I think we've covered pretty much everything for 1.8. Unless you guys have anything, like, quickly you want to add. Oh, actually, I guess, like, the one last thing I'll end on is, how have you found the grenade change?
There was a grenade change. Oh, yeah, there's the -1 ammo.
Oh, crap. I can't really say I really used it much to begin with, so...
Yeah, I just barely use grenades. I'll throw flux if I can, but if not, I don't use them. So I wouldn't really say. Grenade spam is still around.
Yeah.
Because the reason grenade spam exists isn't because of the ammo, it's because of the grenades being restocked by nanohives, which I'm on the fence if they should do that or not. But when grenade spam happens, it's really easy to dodge. You just walk away. It's just slightly annoying, but that's about it. As far as I'm concerned, at least.
Okay. I mean, I haven't seen much grenade spam as of late. I mean, people still use them, like, when it makes sense for people to use grenades. Like, they still should exist, but I haven't really seen much grenade spam, so... I don't know. Like, maybe it was just because rifles were doing so much damage and people stopped using grenades as much, but... Yeah. So I guess that's us for this week. We're almost coming up to an hour right now anyway. I just want
really?
to...
I found out completely.
Yeah. I just want to say quickly that I talked about having my monitor break a couple of weeks ago, and I did find a replacement. I was away the last week, and I went back to my family's house, and I found this crappy old, was it like 1280 by 1024 or whatever resolution that is?
Yeah, 1610.
1610. No,
The
it's
stuff
not
of
1610.
Will you guys be a fan fest this year?
I will be.
He will be. I'm hoping
It's
to.
going to be interesting. It's
Skype
going to be very
someone.
interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, CSM people keep saying that. Everybody keeps saying that. I hate those people.
Who are those
Sorry.
people?
No offense. In 20 days, I'll like you again.
I'm just
But yeah.
over that because I think the one about the
The thing.
yeah.
You mean the thing.
No, I think the keynote is on the second day. I can't remember now. Honestly, I don't think so. I don't know.
I haven't even seen a schedule yet. I just wish they'd bring this
I know it was
schedule
on. I think it was on the second day for last year, wasn't it?
They talked about
Yes.
something on day one.
That wasn't the Dusk keynote, that was like the combined one on day one.
Okay.
Okay.
But we'll have CCP Rouge, also known as JC or Jesus Christ. So,
I've seen this many times. You know, he has just been amazing for this game.
Really? Okay.
Yes. The biggest problem, the thing about his predecessor is that he never talked. I'm sorry about that. He only spoke to us once, which was just after the good old Uprising appeared.
Was that Blam?
No, that was
Zhang.
Blam was the
Oh, Zhang, yeah.
the CCPG on, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
And he only ever spoke to us once when the shit really hit the fan. Good old JC, he's been just like talking to us all the time, and he's just amazing. He's got some very radical ideas, but he has the best interest of the game at heart.
Well, I think FanFest, because he's going to be doing the keynote at FanFest. I think that's the first, generally the first time people are ever going to actually see him talk about anything, because there was the one dev blog and his introductory post, and then that's more or less it.
Yeah, I've been Actually, I shouldn't say much more. I would love, I'd love him to do some talk. The thing is, honestly, he's just been so busy. He's been doing things. It's not for lack of caring or anything.
Yeah, I know that more than about the same. But like the player base who haven't really seen him, if they tune to FanFest and see, they'll be actually quite interested in what.
Yeah, I'm quite excited for the player base to actually get some well, not exactly one-on-one, but you know what I mean. Yeah, actually some engagement time with him because he's a really nice guy.
That's cool. I mean, yeah, because like I literally haven't seen anything from him. Like he hasn't really done any interviews or anything like that. Was like,
he exists, so don't worry, and he's doing things and stuff. He could
actually not exist. Like at this point, like he could just be like He could literally not exist right now. He could be a figment of like
a legendary. Figment of our dreams and our hopes as a CPM. He's just there. Everything we wish existed in one person.
Pretty much, but it'll be interesting seeing him on stage. But that's still 3 weeks away, so there's a few more boots on the ground
20 days.
before then. Yep.
20 days. That's under 3 weeks now.
2 weeks and you'll probably be in Iceland.
I'm going on Wednesday, the day before it starts, is when I'm setting off.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll like Skype you a question during a panel or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll take my laptop. Although, little side note, I almost got ripped off by Manchester Airport when I booked the the car parking. It was like 23 pounds I think for 5 days, which is pretty decent. And then I went to check out and it's like 73 pounds. I'm like, no, that's not right. It's 23 pounds. 73 pounds for 5 days. That's a complete rip off. And they automatically added this like little service where they pick your car up from the terminal when you get out and drive it off, and then they do it backwards when you get there. And I was like, I was really annoyed because they just like automatically put it on over and over again. Bastards. Trying to steal my money.
But anyway, I guess we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening to us ramble about 1.8. And thank you both for coming on. It was good talking to you. And if I don't talk to you before, have fun at FanFest. Like, I wish I could have gone this year, but I'll go next year. It'll be fine.
Just like randomly decide to crash the call. Oh, there's 2 of me in here now. Awesome.
Right. Anyway, we're going to sign off. Right. Thanks everybody for listening.
See ya.
Bye.